Hello, everybody, and welcome to Stump The Guru Show. We're back here for another month, and we've had great feedback so far. Thank you for those who've downloaded the podcast. You can now get this show at unlockthegame.com/podcast to listen to the previous recordings. I'll be notified on Spotify, wherever you listen to favorite podcasts, to hear this content, get a new sort of lift in terms of your processes and learn some new ideas. So if you're new to the show, way this works is we have people who come online right now. If you want to ask me a live question, you can go to www.stumptheguru.com. Just like it sounds, you can get right into the waiting room. If we have enough time, we'll call you in today for the show. And my name is Ari Galper, by the way, if you don't know that. I specialize in trust-based selling. I've been working in this niche for the last 20 years and have thousands of clients who have now transformed their thinking around how they sell from a different perspective based on trust. And we have built a whole body of work around how to solve virtually almost every sales problem based on a trust point of view. So this is your chance to jump in live, ask me a question. If you don't want to ask a question, no problem. Just listen in, come to my LinkedIn profile. You should see a notification that this show is live so you can watch from your desktop or your phone. So we themed today's show around the topic that I'll talk to you about for a minute before we jump into these questions, around the topic of fact finding versus trust building. And what I find a lot of my private clients do at first when I meet with them is they don't realize it, but what they're doing on their first sales conversation is they're actually fact finding with the client, asking technical questions or factual questions, trying to qualify them. And by starting the conversations around with fact finding questions, what happens is they don't build trust with them. And what I'm going to suggest today is there's a shift between fact finding and trust building questions. Fact finding is we're asking qualifying questions to qualify, for instance, a financial advisor. If they ask how many assets do they have, what accounts do they have, how many homes do they have, those are fact finding questions. But trust building questions in the first conversations are wrapped around where they share with you what their challenges, and you unpack and you go below their challenge to help them understand the gravity of their situation, the severity of it, ask them what a priority is. So if they give you a challenge around, I'm concerned about the market right now, for financial advisors, for instance, you might say something like, can you tell me a little bit more about that? That gives them permission to open up around their challenge. And you can say, how long have you been thinking about this? What have you done so far to try and resolve it? Is this a priority for you to resolve this as soon as possible? See, those are not fact-finding questions. Those are questions that go deeper underneath their actual problem to help them understand the full view of their own situation, for them to decide whether they want to solve their own problem or not. And what that's designed to do is to help people see the full picture on their own situation. Because so many times prospects come to us with a 180-degree view of the world. They just see their problem like this, very narrow, and they give us a little breadcrumbs to kind of grab onto, and off we go to qualify and sell. So that was my thoughts for you today. Is think about, are you asking fact-finding questions or trust-building questions? Because there's a big difference between the two. So I'll leave you with that to think about. And if you want to come to have a chat with us one-on-one, you can go to unlockthegame.com/free consult, and we'll set you up with either myself or someone on my team to have a consultation with you. In the meantime, let's get going. The clock is ticking. And Steve, my co-host here, who do we have in the waiting room?
All righty. Well, look, first off, I'm going to say what nobody else knows or will say today, and I'm sure you know this is coming. Happy birthday, Ari. This is the 1 month in the year where we can say this during the show. So it was, for people that don't know, it was earlier this week. And I just figured it was, I'll embarrass you for 2 seconds here and just wish you a happy birthday live on camera for all to see and hear. But first, we're going to bring in Scott Warner. And Scott, if you could let everybody know a little bit about yourself and what you do for a living, and then your question for Ari, please.
Yeah, hi, I'm Scott Warner, a financial advisor, which is what Ari was just picking on, which is okay, because I'm a perfect candidate to get picked on because I fall into the perfect question. Been out 30 years in Southern California. So Ari, I obviously know the trust building versus the fact finding,
Sure.
but being 30 years in, it's so easy to just start with the right idea in mind, start with trying to do it, and before you know it. So my challenge to you is, or question for you is, in this kind of broad thing is, how do I know when accidentally, I'm not even aware of it, I'm being asked questions and etc. that before long I start off in the trust building, and then before long I'm into the fact finding. Like, here's a few examples. Hey Scott, what are your fees? Hey Scott, do you believe in Roth IRAs? Scott, do you sell annuities? So those kinds of questions, even though I might start off with, hey, all right, tell me why you reached out today. Tell me a little bit about your situation, concerns, worries you might have. I start out that way, and then they just kind of lose sight, and they just pop one of those questions. And before long, I'm having to defend or kind of back up a little bit in defensive mode to try and get back over there. But sometimes it's hard to get back over there.
Sure. I mean, fundamentally, when you use our one call sale process and you have that initial conversation with them, you should be the one asking them the questions. They should not be the one asking you the questions, because you're the doctor, they're the patient. And and I know it's easy for them to shift and start asking you questions, and you feel it's your obligation to educate, respond, and continue on, because we've been conditioned to believe our job is to educate the prospect on the call, because we hope that education impresses us enough to go, wow, he knows so much, we should go hire him. And the real shift with that, Scott, is that your job on this conversation is not to build value with them or show them or give them education or show them how good you are. Instead, the goal is to provide them with clarity on the expansiveness of their problem, identify the urgency of what they want to move forward. And one thing to share with you that can prevent you from some of this is, here's one key thing not to do. Never ask anybody on an initial call, which is this phrase, ask, do you have any questions? Now that's going to sound so contrarian because we've been taught our whole career to ask that question.
Right.
That question there opens up the hole that you drop into sometimes, that moves you from the trust building mode to the other mode. So rather than saying, do you have any questions, just you say, hold those questions and let's cover those in our first session together, where I can do a deep dive with you and assess your situation. Then I can do it all at one time. Let's just, on this call, make sure that we're a good fit by me understanding your situation, walk you through my roadmap, and if you're comfortable with that, we'll kind of go from there. Are you guys okay with that?
Okay, so I mean, you got to answer it like you said, but I don't specifically need to answer it directly. I mean, you and I have talked a little bit in the past about how to deal with the fees one.
Well, don't encourage the questions.
Right.
Don't go back with, what do you think? Do you have any more questions? Do you have any more thoughts? Don't prompt that, because that,
if they still come, which they do, even when I'm not prompting,
that's okay.
How to still get back. I got to answer it.
You simply say, hold those questions.
All right.
Let's cover that in a next session together, where I can do a deep dive with you and really go deep on everything you might need. That's how you do it in a nice way.
Okay, that's great. So I got to address it, right? But that's a great
address it. Just use the word hold. Please hold those questions. Let's cover that in our next session together.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
That's a good way, because I know in the past we've kind of talked about the fee one, and I've kind of told them I'd get to it, but right now I don't know your situation, and
exactly
diagnose, and then I push it back off. So it's kind of the similar way, but maybe just hold the questions is even easier to
keep things in sequence, lockstep, one step at a time, so they don't cross over each other. Thanks. Good to see you again, Scott. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, you bet, man. That's very helpful. Thank you very much for the help. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. Welcome to Stump the Guru Show. If you're here live, you're now seeing some live questions from around the world, jumping in, asking me challenging questions where I can provide some insights, some live coaching, consulting. For those who have a sales challenge, you might be chasing someone right now, can't get them on the phone. You have a complex scenario. Now's your chance to gather up those questions and come on the show. Just go to stumptheguru.com and we'll let you into the waiting room. Hopefully we have enough time to get you in the show. And if you're not here right now, you can just go to unlockthegame.com/podcast and grab the podcast, listen to the previous shows and the new one coming in. Steve, who do we have next?
All righty. Up next, I'm going to bring on Wayne Sutton. So, Wayne, if you could tell everybody a little bit about yourself and what you do, and your question for Ari, please.
Your sound, Wayne. Your sound's off, I think. Might be muted, maybe.
Yeah, my apologies. So, number one, glad to be on with you. I have followed you for years, man, and really have adopted, that sales strategy of trust-based.
Right.
I'm a sales trainer, so that's what
Right.
I do. I work with salesmen, and I also work in sales team and their leadership and making sure, proper reporting and so forth. So, my question is, though, when a lot of these sales professionals we're coming to have been taught more aggressive, they have been taught the qualification, they've been taught the hard close, they've been taught, and I hear it. And now I'm going in trying to correct. But so my biggest question for you is, when you're coaching someone that has been taught totally different, like,
Right.
do you recommend a total change of everything, or do you take it piece by piece? Like, what's your recommendation?
Great
when I'm
question.
with people?
Great question, Wayne. Look, it is a total mindset shift. I admit it. It requires people to really let go of what they're holding on to from the past, deconditioning. But the way you can make a case for this, and the way I do it, is I basically say, here's what I might say to your guys. I'd say, how many calls you guys speak with on a monthly basis? How many opportunities you speak with on a monthly basis? They might tell you 20. Of those 20, how many do you guys convert? They might say, well, maybe 5.
Yeah.
And you say to them, what happened to their 15? And you say, well, let's take off a few off the top because they're not qualified. Let's just say there's 7 left over that were qualified. Why do they not convert?
Yeah.
And they're going to go, well, probably because I don't.
Quality.
Right. So you have to find the hole first to show them what they're losing. Then you can say, would you be open to a different way of thinking on this to close that hole, increase your conversion rate, and simply add more tools to what you're doing right now? Would you be open to that? Then they go, yeah, because I want to solve that problem. Because see, most salespeople, most sales organizations, they only measure how much you're making. They don't measure how much you're losing.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a very good point. Yeah.
And right there, Wayne, is how you open up the entire conversation for the salespeople to understand they're losing more than they're making, not because of the qualification or the leads, because of them and their approach. And that's where they kind of get more humble and go, okay, what ideas do you have? So give that a try.
That's awesome, man. Thanks, Ori. Appreciate that.
All right, Wayne. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you. Okay,
we got interesting questions here for the Stump the Guru show. We're live right now, global. People are coming from all over around the world to ask questions. If you don't know much about our approach, we have a trust-based model that is so contrarian. It flip-flops the entire way of thinking around selling. And for a lot of our clients now, they're getting what we call a 100% conversion rate on all their conversations because they're not chasing people and they're not using the old techniques anymore. So, Steve, who else do we have back there?
All righty. Coming up next, we're going to bring on Brett, fellow long hair. So, of course, I'm going to be partial to him opposed to the rest of the universe. But, Brett, if you could tell everybody a little bit about yourself and your full name and what your question is for Ari, please.
Yeah. So my name is Brett Cadiente. And Ari, I have followed you for a long time. And my cold calling has radically changed because of you. And so I work for an emergency restoration company. And so I sell flood restoration, fire restoration, things like that. And I sell to property managers, insurance agents, and I feel like I'm able to do pretty well over the phone with these people. I have what I feel like are great and amazing conversations. I get in front of key contacts. I get people to the point to where they agree to send us business, and then time goes on and time goes on and time goes on. I don't hear back, and I have no idea if they've had.
All right, so hold on right there. I know where you're going with this. They end up kind of dropping off the black hole, right?
Yes.
Okay. So when you get somebody in a conversation who says to you, yeah, we can definitely do something with you, we can give you some business, at that point in the conversation, then what you do is you say, okay, would you be open to us setting up a time, say a few weeks from now, to catch back up again, to see if you have somebody that you might have us what we can work with you on? Or you can say, is there anybody right now you can think of on your mind that we can work with at the moment? What you're trying to do is get the ball rolling now rather than leaving to them to get back to you later on. So you might have different ideas around that, but we got to have some connection, some way to loop that back in to keeping you in the flow of their thinking. One way is to put them back on the calendar, and maybe you have some reason to talk to them a few weeks later, I don't know, in your business, or maybe there's some trigger that occurs that you're there when they need to hear from you. Maybe even you have something you mail to them in the mail. When they say, yeah, it sounds good, we're happy to work with you guys, no problem. And out in the mail goes a package, a welcome package, welcome to da-da-da. Maybe it's a checklist of things like that, some information that they remember you by. Then you have a reason to call them back a couple weeks later and say, oh, just giving you a call. Did you get my pack in the mail by any chance?
Okay.
What do you think?
I like it. I mean, ultimately what I really want is I want to work towards an annual service agreement.
Sure.
You know, it might be a structure that has 600 units. And so ultimately that's what I'm trying to get to. But I feel like from the get-go, that's
okay.
like
I know your goal is a long-term agreement, recurring revenue. That's what that's the dream. But you can't get there until you do one job for them first. So what you're asking them for is you have one opportunity, just one project coming up we can do for you to see if you're happy with the work. Then if you do one job with them and they're happy, then you can say, would you be open to talking about a long-term plan together where I could be your provider? So you need some way first for them to trust you and see they can count on you. You won't drop the ball. You'll do a good job. So all you're asking for in this early phase is to see if there's one project you can do with them for them to prove you're for real. Once you're for real, then the next phase would be a model around how to onboard them into a long-term program.
Okay.
So I think you have the right intention. You just have a few steps you're jumping over ahead of time to try and get to your goal. And that's the missing piece in between that.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I feel like I'm having these just amazing conversations and the right contacts. There's something missing in my conversation.
There's a middle piece in there where they got to trust you first. So having great conversation doesn't mean they trust you. Just means there's chemistry on the conversation because you're really good on the phone. But now there's a next step in the process, which is a few of those ideas I just gave you there.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, Wayne. Good to see you again. Take care.
Yeah.
All right. Welcome to Stump The Guru, where we had a third question so far, all different industries, as you can hear. And we have been around for 20 years now. We've heard everything you can imagine from every industry possible. So we have lots of insights to help you with. And if you're stuck somewhere in your sales process, there's the only place you can jump on live with us to ask us a question to get answered to go back and use right away. So if you want to ask a live question, go to stumptheguru.com and wait in the waiting room there. We'll pull you in. And let's see who else we have here, Steve, today.
All righty, here we go. Up next, I'm going to bring in Goldie. So, Goldie, if you could let everybody know a little bit about you and what you do for a living and your question for Ari, please.
Ari, happy birthday, man.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Many more.
Thank you.
I am a financial advisor out of Boston. And, listening to the other people, I most identify with Scott, who starts out with good intention and then gets caught up in the conversation of the person that he's interviewing. Yeah. So my question is there something in our first contact with a prospect that could be a reminder and, maybe a time limit that we should impose on ourselves so that we can pivot to are you open to coming back and getting further into it and getting more of a deep dive on our first session?
So let's say you're having a first conversation with somebody, and what you asked me there is what can trigger me to shift into this mode so I don't go too far down the road and it's too late.
Instead of getting caught up, because when I identify with Scott, you start out by, having, a kind of proposal in your head, a kind of way to conduct the interview. And now you're listening to the responses and getting drawn in.
Yeah. Okay. So rather than languaging around that, what I'd rather do for you in this situation is create a picture. Imagine an image of an iceberg. Okay, at the top of the iceberg is the initial part of the conversation where they tell you what their challenges are, you respond, you have a brief conversation. What most people do is, if they have momentum in the conversation, they attempt to move the momentum forward.
Right.
That's our instinct.
Right.
Because it feels easy. It feels relaxed. So here we go. We're moving towards education, towards information, towards that mode of presentation. So imagine the tip of the iceberg, a picture of an iceberg. You're at the top of the iceberg. Rather than your mind thinking to yourself, my job is to move them forward. Think to yourself, my job is to go down this direction, not that direction, down below the iceberg, and have certain questions in front of you. To think to yourself, okay, Ari said to me, I can't move them forward, because your job is not to create momentum with them. Your job is to build trust with them and have them feel that you're taking them to a place no one ever has before.
Right.
And that is deep dive into their world. So if you have this set of questions in front of you right from the beginning, and the way you start the conversation is this one, which is, if it's okay with you, can we take a step back for a moment? And can you walk me through a bit about your background, your story, situation, up to your current situation now, and your financial challenges? We'll go from there. Then they start opening up to you. And once they start giving you a couple of challenges, rather than attempting to either ask them fact-finding questions or give them information to solve it, you just take them right down that iceberg with the questions I think I may have given some earlier around, tell me more about that. How long has that been an issue for?
Right.
Can you show me some examples of what you tried so far? What's your timeline on this?
See, that's exactly what I'm talking about. How to trigger in me the response that says, look at the set of questions that you have written down.
Okay.
Get involved in the story.
You know what? Make a picture of an iceberg.
Yeah.
And put the questions in the iceberg and put it right in front of your computer screen. And look at that picture. That's the only, because we see pictures in our minds when we hear words.
I think it's a great idea, because for me, it's really about trying to keep it to 5 minutes right now, and then getting a commitment to go into a deeper dive. And so that works. That works in my head.
Thank you so much. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Ari.
All right. Okay. So we're back again for the Stump the Guru show. We're on a roll today. Lots of folks coming in. Anyone else see we have back there?
All righty. Yes, we have 2 more people coming on for today. So first, I'm going to bring on Florence Pollard, and she's going to let us know. Hey, Florence, how are you today? And if you can let everybody know
how are you?
What you do and your question for Ari. I'm doing swimmingly well. It's nice out today in New York.
Great. Well, mine's a little bit different because I am an appointment setter, and I do talk to financial advisors. And my question for Ari is, what kind of language can I use? Because a lot of times I'm leaving messages, and what I'm hoping for is a callback. So I can discuss with the person about setting them up with for a consultation with a financial advisor. So I write the way that it is now. There's lots of message leaving, and I'd love to get my call back ratio up.
Sure.
Do you have any language for me to leave on a message to get more callbacks?
Yeah. Okay. So this really is about testing to find the one message that really hits the mark. But what I found works most effectively for my clients is when they leave a message that's specific around a problem. See, most people leave messages with, hi, I'm giving you a call about please give me a call back. And it doesn't connect to them because it's not related to their situation. It's something else around a concept or a product or an offer or something they don't recognize, or they might but don't resonate with. So what you do is you think about, what is the core issue that we're helping your audience, you're helping your audience solve. Let's say in your case, it's helping them grow their practice or helping them can bring on more clients that they can't get to right now, or whatever it might be. So what you do is you leave a message with, hi, my name is, I'm just giving you a call. I sent you an email or a package or whatever related to, and you plug in the problems you can help them solve related to growing your practice, not chasing people and bringing more clients on board. And I just wanted to see if you'd like some more help around that or some insights around that related to what we sent you. So the key, however you bookend that one, front, back, do it as you want. But the middle part is somehow connected to what the problem that they're probably having is. That goes by knowing your market well enough so you know what to tell them on the phone. Usually you get a call back when it relates to something they connect with from their perspective.
Okay, great.
All right.
That's great feedback.
Thank you so much. All right, we're getting close to the top of the show here, and I think Steve said we have one more to go, right, Steve?
So I'm going to bring in a cleanup hitter. Since for the New York fans, Aaron Judge hit his 60th home run earlier this week, which is record breaking. So we have one man that has been on every single Stump the Guru episode that I've been on, at least to date. So without any further ado, I'm bringing Antonio Kenyatta on right now.
There he is.
And the myth, the legend is here and has a question. And now, Antonio, you do realize you always have to appear with a question now and officially claim your spot as the cleanup home run guy of Stump the Guru. And you will stump, Ari.
Awesome.
We have to get that right question for you, man. All righty. Let the world know who you are and your question for Ari, please.
Thank you, Steve. Again, happy belated birthday, Ari.
Good to see you again.
Yes, sir. My Antonio Kenyatta, financial advisor as well. And so my question to you, Ari, is I connected to someone on LinkedIn, following the one call sell method of like, hey, we don't know each other. It's just, we help, physicians avoid overpaying and interest on the student loan debt. And if that resonates with you, we should connect. So he connected and he gave me his email address and the email of his assistant. Then,
Okay.
yeah, that's great. Let's connect. And so, about 4 or 5 days went by and I emailed him, but since then he's ghosted me.
Wait, hold on a minute. So,
Yep.
so you connected on LinkedIn. He gave you his email. What did you email him exactly?
I had sent him an email again, sort of same line, just into saying this, here's what we do at Practice Wise. We help doctors, avoid overpaying and interest on their student loans.
Okay, so stop right there. Stop right
Yep.
there. Okay. So the way that email is written, as you're describing to me right now, is talking about what you do. What you need to do is change that languaging to talk about the issues he might have.
Okay.
So what you might say is, "Hi, John. Hope you're doing well. Good to meet you on LinkedIn. Not sure if you're in a situation where you might be experiencing these issues with your doctors." And you list out all the problems. You don't talk about you. See, when you talk about yourself, here's what we do. He thinks all you want to do is sell him something. But if you remove yourself out of the picture, lay out the issues that he can connect with and say, I was just curious. Do you think your docs would like some help around these topics? If so, let me know, and we can set up a brief Zoom chat to have a conversation. Talk to you soon.
Perfect.
So he ghosted you because your approach still felt like you were trying to put yourself in front of him to show him what you can do. What you can do is not relevant at that stage of the game. What's relevant at that stage of the game is you articulating his issues that he can connect with, and then he can go, "Oh, maybe you can help me." And the next step is a one-on-one Zoom chat to go from there. That piece of the puzzle, I think, was kind of broken. If you change that, that should flow it through.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Ari.
All right. Good to see you again.
Great. Thank you.
All right. So, wow, what a great show today. I think we're good to go unless Steve jumps back in. If not, thanks for coming to the Stump the Guru show. We're here every month about the same time. Be sure to get access to our podcast of the show at unlockthegame.com/podcasts, where you can listen to previous recordings, and the most recent shows will show up on your phone to listen to the recent shows. And if you have any feedback, let us know. Give us a rating. Drop some comments for us. If you want to have a one-on-one chat with us privately, just go to unlockthegame.com/free consult. If you don't have a copy of my latest book, Unlock the Sales Game, you can grab that as well at unlockthegame.com. And also, we recently did a documentary on our story, our background, what we do. It's on our homepage, unlockthegame.com. Be sure to watch that. Other than that, we'll see everybody hopefully next month. Take care and be well.
I've come up with a way to totally eradicate this whole idea of rejection in sales. If it's over at hello, how the heck are you going to succeed in selling? You've got to rise above that and change your mindset.